Yes, Amazon's The Rings of Power takes place thousands of years before The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but to immortal beings, what's a few millennia? The Rings of Power actor Robert Arameo said of his character Elrond, "When I read about him, I'm always really interested in the way that Tolkien talks about how Elrond is counted amongst the immortals, which is an interesting thing. Counted, it doesn't necessarily say that he is one. Biologically speaking, Elrond is definitely immortal, but he's also related to mortal men, immortal elves, and even the angelic Maiar. Elrond's critical role as the bridge between many of Middle-earth's peoples, combined with his eternal nature, keeps him in the spotlight for a very long time.
I was there the day the strength of men failed."
In The Rings of Power, he's a scrappy young politician. By the time we see him in the Hobbit films, he's the leader of Rivendell and a member of the White Council. He continues in that capacity in The Lord of the Rings, helping point characters including Frodo and Aragorn in the right direction. By the end of that story, he does leave Middle-earth for a quiet retirement in the Blessed Realm in the West. By that point, he's more than earned it. Over the years, Tolkien struggled with Galadriel's role in Middle-earth. He wrote his way through it seems. The book Unfinished Tales has an entire section titled The History of Galadriel and Celeborn. While full of interesting facts and parts of stories, the text contradicts itself and presents multiple versions of the heroine's role. One thing that's clear is that Tolkien wanted Galadriel to play an essential role in the Second Age, and the Rings of Power showrunners have used that as an opportunity to make her essentially the series' lead, at least so far. Galadriel was also a founding member of the White Council during the Third Age. This allowed Peter Jackson to insert her into the Hobbit films when that group takes down the Necromancer in Mirkwood. And the Lady of Lorien plays an essential role in The Lord of the Rings, hosting and helping the Fellowship on their way to Mordor.
I will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel.
In Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, the Dark Lord Sauron's eye sits perched atop his massive tower of Barad-dûr in the Land of Shadows, scanning the countryside for any sign of trouble. Sauron also appears in the Hobbit trilogy of films, this time in the form of the Necromancer. Originally a minor character, Jackson took Sauron's foreboding presence and inserted it as a major plot point in his own version of that story. Sauron's presence is likewise felt from the beginning of The Rings of Power. He's briefly in the prologue for the first episode. Then his sigil starts showing up everywhere, and he's even named multiple times. When he does finally reveal himself, it will likely be in his more attractive form as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. There's one more character in the movies and the show. Gil-galad has a brief cameo at the beginning of The Fellowship of the Ring, and is already in Prime Video's series. Besides that small role and three big ones, no one else from Peter Jackson's films is confirmed for The Rings of Power as of now, but a few other names could join the list as the story plays out. First off, there's Gandalf. Fans have been debating who the Man in the Fire could be since he first appeared in the marketing. While that mystery hasn't been solved in the early episodes, it's clear that the show could be working Gandalf into the story. Legolas is another. Since the adventuring elf's backstory is relatively vague, there's a chance that we could see the character pop up in The Rings of Power. Jackson found a way to fit him into The Hobbit after all. Some other possibilities include Thranduil, who was the king of Mirkwood long before he appeared in The Hobbit. There was also Treebeard. We know that the new series will have Ents, and according to the lore, Treebeard was their leader at that time.
Takes a long time to say anything in all